Week 9 of TXN, Week 8 of TXN Sports World NFL Friday is on the air. Hello, friends. Anthony Florio. I'm your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. Not much more to say. Let's not waste too much more time, and let's start it off. Of course, Week 8 of the NFL season started last night. Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime Video, a matchup featuring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against my Buffalo Bills from Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. And when all was said and done, the Buffalo Bills back on track, bouncing back after that demoralizing loss at New England. Last Sunday, they defeat Tampa Bay by a final score of 20-18. And in this contest last night, Josh Allen, 31 of 40, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. James Cook led the team with 67 yards rushing. Josh Allen had a rushing touchdown. Shakir was the leading receiver, 92 yards on 6 catches. Gabe Davis had a receiving touchdown, 9 catches, 87 yards. Stephon Diggs, 9 catches, 70 yards. Dalton Kincaid, his first NFL touchdown in place of the injured Dawson Knox, 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Defense recorded 3 sacks. Teron Johnson, Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa with the sacks of Baker Mayfield in the win. For Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, 25 of 42, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. White was the leading rusher, 39 yards. And White was also the leading receiver, 70 yards on 7 catches. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans had receiving touchdowns. Godwin, 5 catches, 54 yards. Mike Evans, 3 catches, 39 yards. Defense had an interception by Golston. 2 sacks for the defense as well. Nelson and Diaby had sacks, but at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills survive again. They defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24-18. Buffalo improves to 5-3 on the season. Tampa Bay drops to 3-4. And in the immortal words of Bill Belichick, the Buffalo Bills now we're on to Cincinnati. Buffalo Bills will be at the Cincinnati Bengals next Sunday night, November the 5th, Sunday Night Football on NBC. We'll talk about that game next week. That's going to be one of our games of the week, no question about it. Of course, in Cincinnati for the first time since the scary incident involving Damar Hamlin back in January. Just 2 days into this year, the second day of this year. And we'll get more into that next week. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they will be on the road against the Houston Texans in Houston next Sunday as well. So, and that's a cross-flex game. That'll be on CBS. So, talk about that next week as well. Big win for Buffalo. A must-win for Buffalo. Not only for their own, morale and all that, but also because of the fact that, Buffalo, we want to keep pace with the Miami Dolphins in the AFC East. And we're within half a game of them now. And if Bullock's Patriots can somehow beat the Dolphins on Sunday, then Buffalo will temporarily take back over first place because Buffalo has the tiebreaker over Miami when Buffalo smashed Miami at the start of this month. So another dicey game, which I'm not surprised it is, mainly because of those defensive injuries. But the offense definitely looked the best I've seen since the Miami game. And JA-17 looked great. Finally got back to we finally had a vintage JA game last night, and we damn sure needed it. And I'm very pleased with this win. And I'm hopeful that they can keep the momentum going. Next Sunday night, though, that's going to be a tough one. I mean, Cincinnati, we got revenge on our minds after what happened, in January when Cincinnati crushed Buffalo's dreams when they went into Buffalo on that cold, snowy January afternoon and, kicked the door down and made themselves at home. We have not forgotten about that. So I'm hopeful that they'll bring it in Cincinnati. And don't be surprised if there ends up being an emotional moment for Damar Hamlin, in that game. But like I said, we'll get more into that game next week on this show. But a great win for the Buffalo Bills. I'm very pleased with it. So like I said, hopefully we'll keep the momentum going, and hopefully we'll get some breaks and we'll get some bounces to go our way. So big win for them. So not much more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. 24-18, the Buffalo Bills get back on track. They defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in the immortal words of Bill Belichick, like I said, for Buffalo, it's on to Cincinnati next Sunday night. So, MF, come on in, and Buffalo Bills back on track. And boy, howdy, they needed it.
Yeah, they needed it. And yes, in a way, they are back on track. But let's be realistic, Anthony. There's still a lot of work for Buffalo to do. They should have handled their business. They should have blown out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if it wasn't for a Hail Mary failure at the end, we'd probably be talking about Tampa Bay winning that game. Everything was looking good. At one point, Buffalo was up 24-10 with about plenty time remaining, and then all of a sudden, Tampa got a big break, got a big drive, got a touchdown, a 2-point conversion that got it to 24-18. And as a matter of fact, at the very end of the game, Tampa was driving. They were driving down the field, and they had an opportunity to win the game. There was a couple of Tampa Bay players in the area, and luckily for Buffalo fans, the ball harmlessly fell incomplete to end it. It wasn't a knock it down moment. It was that just the ball didn't get there. A couple of the guys were there, but just did not see it and let the ball harmlessly fall to the ground. And that was the game for Buffalo to win. And, I think it's more that Buffalo fans are breathing a sigh of relief more than anything else, because they felt like, man, we almost let one get away. So obviously it's a fortunate victory, but there's still a lot of questions. I think a lot of fans are saying the same thing. They're like, yeah, they won, but are they truly back? I don't think they are. I'm still holding reservations about Buffalo. And now Cincinnati looks like they finally caught fire, and it looks like they finally found themselves. So it's not an easy game. And if you want my honest opinion, going in right now, I'm picking Cincinnati to beat Buffalo next week. I don't give a damn. I'm calling it right now. So obviously things are going to have to change during the week. If there's any significant injuries, obviously that will that might change my opinion of the game. But if you ask me point blank right here, right now, who I got between Buffalo and Cincinnati, I got the Bengals. And I'm not even hesitating. I think it's Cincinnati has finally turned the corner. I still believe Buffalo is still in that rut that they were in earlier in the year. I still feel like we haven't seen the best team. We have not seen Buffalo complete performance since maybe the Miami game. I'm telling you, something happened to that team when they lost to Jacksonville, because ever since that game, they have not been the same. They didn't play great and maybe should have lost to the New York Giants, lost to the New England Patriots, actually got humiliated by the New England Patriots. And then for Tampa, yeah, I mean, I'll say it. Nice win. You can say they kind of got back on track, but I'm not convinced about that. Back on track of what is what I said. So, nah, you can call me a hater. You can say whatever you want, Bills Mafia. You can go screw yourselves, because I don't give a damn. But as far as this goes, what have you done for me lately? To me, absolutely nothing. So, nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, Florio, I don't know what I don't know what you're thinking, saying, "Oh, the Bills are back on track." Back on track of what? Because they really didn't do. I mean, yes, they did win, but it wasn't even a convincing win. If it was, then I would have said maybe they are back on track, but they just barely won. And if it wasn't for that Hail Mary, and if it was completed, your Bills could have lost that game. But there's still more questions than answers with the Bills. I mean, something needs to be done to if your Bills really want to get back on track here. So, and I'm with Fletch here too. With this Bills and Bengals game, and the Bengals look like they're back on track. I'm going to say it too, and I don't care what anybody says. I got Cincinnati winning next week. I mean, Cincinnati's looking like they're starting to turn the corner, and for the Bills, there's still more questions than answers when it comes to this team. And I know Bills Mafia I know I'm gonna probably piss them off. You know what? I'm just being honest. So, and if you don't like it, you guys can go screw yourselves, and I'll put any member of Bills Mafia over through your own damn table. I'm done. I'm finished. It's yours, Florio.
Whoa, I wasn't gonna go there, Bullock. Yeah. I was not threatening to put Bills Mafia through a table. Even I know that's a bad idea. I would not have gone there.
Well, we just put them through their own damn table last week. Thanks to the Patriots.
Well, I can't deny that. You actually did do it, so I can't say I can't disagree with that. Technically, yeah, they did.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So, touche. I deserve every bit of that. You're absolutely right. So, but I meant they're back on track in the win column. I didn't say they were fully back on track. I just meant they were back on track in the win column. That's what I meant. So
you should have said it much better than that, Florio.
You're absolutely right. I should have.
I'm sorry. I was just calling you out.
Florio, don't backpedal. You don't need to. You know what? That's the thing. I don't like. This is what I don't get. Don't backpedal on your stuff. You believe you guys are back on track. You believe you're back on track.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You don't need to apologize to us. Who
unapologetically me. Unapologetically me. I'm not apologizing.
Yeah, don't back from it. Fletch and I just
team. I still love my team. I have a right to die with my team. And if they never win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, I don't give a damn.
That's right. That's
my team. I love them, plain and simple, and I'm going to continue to love this team, even if they never win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. Which, with my luck, it's probably not. That's probably what's going to happen.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. But that's the one thing,
just like the same way Fletch would be with his Miami Dolphins, and
absolutely.
Just like I am with.
Batten down the hatches tonight, man, because you want to talk about a bloody bowl. We got one tonight, and it's gonna turn into a hockey fight. Let's just say that the gloves are coming off in a little while.
Exactly,
and I'm ready to throw those gloves down too.
Yeah, so we're ready. We're ready. We're in fighting mode right now, boys. So we're ready to fight tonight. So yes, to put it to bed, whether they win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, which with my luck probably will never happen, and I accept it and I'm okay with it. So let's see what happens in Cincinnati next week. They beat Cincinnati. Then are they back on track? Hell yeah, they are.
Basically, I think everybody will say Buffalo is back on track if you knock out the Bengals. There's no doubt. You beat Cincinnati. Everybody will say, oh no. The wagon, they've circled the wagon, so look out, here they come again.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what. I know there's a lot of people that are saying their Super Bowl window's closed. MF is saying it. I know Bullock's saying it. I know a lot of people are saying it out there.
Wait a minute. I never said that the window is closed. I think as of right now, maybe I think you're gonna probably lose to Cincinnati, but I never said that the window is closed.
Well, some experts were saying that it was.
Well, then that's them. I mean, what the hell?
There's only two people who believe that that window is still open. Me and my man Jim Nance. Hello, friends. So that's all I can say on that. Let's put it to bed now. So we'll get more into that next week. Believe me, we will. But we all know the storyline going into that game next week will be DeMar Hamlin, hands down. So, all right. So with all that being said, gentlemen, let's dive on into some action here. It's week number 8, and let's get into the rest of it. And there are no bye weeks this week, so we got a full slate. So let's dive on in, gentlemen. Here we go. Fox has our first game of the. We have 9 early games coming up here, guys. 9 of them, and Fox will have. And the first four games we're going to be talking about are all from Fox. So get ready. Houston Texans squaring off against the Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina. And for Fox, working this game will be Brandon Gaudin, Robert Smith, and Jen Hale. They will be on the call for that one. And the spread will... And Houston opening up as a 3-point favorite. And series history between these two, it favors the... Well, I went a little over. Carolina. Carolina leads the all-time series 4-2. Matter of fact, Houston won the first 2 meetings against Carolina, but Carolina's won the last 4, including 2 years ago in Houston, 24-9. Their last meeting in Charlotte was 2015, and Carolina won 24-17. Houston's only won in Charlotte once, and that was in 2007. Houston won 34-21. So let's dive right on into Houston and Carolina to kick it off for week number 8, guys. This will be all about comparing the top pick, Bryce Young, to the second pick, CJ Stroud. It's one versus 2 here, guys. Stroud has the upper hand in terms of record, 3-3 against Young, 0-5. And he has almost double the passing yards, 1,660 to 967, with one more start. But this could be a good matchup for Young against a defense that ranks 26th against the pass. It also could be a good matchup for Stroud going against a defense that is down at least 5 key players due to injuries. The Texans will get at least 4 sacks on Sunday. They had the fewest sacks in the NFL with 9, but are tied for the second highest pressure rate, 42%. Panthers are tied for the 10th most sacks allowed, 19, and Young has the 12th longest time to throw, 2.90 seconds on average. This is the game where the sacks come for the Texans. CJ Stroud has a passing touchdown in 5 consecutive games, tying Deshaun Watson and Davis Mills for the longest streak by a Houston rookie. The X factor is Texans wide receiver Tank Dell. Incredibly, the rookie receiver is tied with the LA Chargers' Keenan Allen for second in open score behind San Francisco's Brandon Ayuk. He could have a big impact in his return to the lineup. Panthers defense gives up the second most fantasy points a game to running backs. In this instance, the Texans offensive line, which ranks 28th in run block win rate, has an advantage, which bodes well for Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. Panthers are 0-5-1 against the spread this season, the only NFL team without a single cover this season. Houston is the FPI favorite, 63% going with the Houston Texans to win this game. I'm going with the Houston Texans to win this game. 30-16, the Houston Texans defeat the Carolina Panthers and keep Carolina winless. So, not much more to say here. So, MF, come on in. Houston, Carolina to lead things off in a fully loaded week number 8. Does Houston keep Carolina winless, or is this the week Carolina finally gets that first win?
I think this is the week that Houston keeps going, keeps the momentum, and keeps running the way they've been running. Look, CJ Stroud is the guy. He is the man right now. I'm loving what I've seen from him. He's been dominating really great. I don't think there's really not much for me to say here. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game, but I do believe that Houston's gonna keep the hot streak going. So Give me Houston to win. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I mean, mean, I think Houston's the better team, and yeah, I think it's unfortunately still going to be a struggle for Carolina to get that first victory. So I'm going with the Houston Texans as well to win this one. So let's move on to the next game.
Staying with Fox, it will be the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The A-team working this game. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi. They will be in Dallas for this one. And the spread favors Dallas. Dallas opening up as a 6-point favorite. And in the series history between these two, whoa, went a little too far on that one. All right, the series history with again, held my mouse down. All right, Dallas and the Rams. It which has a lengthy history, especially in the they've met 9 times in the playoffs, by the way. But we're not talking playoffs; we're talking regular season. In terms of regular season, Dallas leads the all-time series 15-13. They met last year in Los Angeles. Dallas won 22-10. Last meeting in Dallas, 2019. Dallas won going away 44-21. The Rams last won in Dallas in 2017, 35-30. So, OMF. Here's a good one for the Fox crew here. Rams and Dallas. Perhaps some. I know it's a little too early to talk playoff implications, but this definitely could have a big effect in the NFC standings when it comes to this one.
Yeah, it most definitely could definitely have an impact. It could definitely have an effect, no doubt. I'm not going to disagree with that. But at the end of the day, I just feel like right now, I feel like Dallas is just look. They've been hearing a lot of naysayers. They've been hearing a lot of people saying a lot of different things about the Cowboys and this or that. Or Dak's been getting a lot of pressure, a lot of heat lately. So yeah, there's some people out there that kind of feels like they're not a good squad or this or that, and they've been hearing some negativity lately. So at the end of the day, I feel like Dallas is gonna do what they need to do to get the job done. And the Rams are looking very good. They look a lot more better, a lot more sharper than they did earlier in the year. Puka Nakua is without it. I mean, this guy is a monster right now. Rookie of the year, in my opinion, more than anything else. Cooper Kupp's back. He's been looking very good. Matthew Stafford finally looks like he's starting to come back into that Super Bowl championship winning quarterback mold a little bit. So you got that. But of course, Dallas's defense needs to step up. They need to pressure him, need to make him uncomfortable and do what they need to do. And then Dak just needs to play the way that he's always been playing. Consistent down the field, try to be mistake free. If he does that, Dallas wins. So I'm going to win with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean this is a big game for the Cowboys. I mean, obviously, the Rams. What they're doing offensively, especially with the return of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua. Yeah, that's a tandem right there. That's something that Dallas, their defense, is going to have to keep an eye on. And look, Dak Prescott, like you said, he's just got to take care of the ball, be able to move it down the field, and if he can do it pretty well, then I think Dallas should be able to win this one. So I too am going with the Dallas Cowboys as well. So it is yours, Florio.
This will be the Cowboy. Wow, listen to this, guys. This will be the Cowboys' only home game in a 41-day span. And AT&T Stadium has been kind to them. They have a 10-game home winning streak, their longest since 1991 to 1992 when they called Texas Stadium home. The Rams are 2-1 on the road this season, with their only loss being a 3-point affair at Cincinnati. Last year, the Cowboys got after quarterback Matthew Stafford with 5 sacks and a 22-10 win. And Cooper Rush, filling in for an injured Dak Prescott, threw only 16 passes with the Cowboys rushing for 163 yards, including a 57-yard touchdown run by Tony Pollard. With a struggling passing game, the Cowboys hope to establish the run game Sunday. Micah Parsons and Aaron Donald will each have 2 sacks on Sunday. Parsons has 10 career games with at least 2 full sacks, third most by any player within his first 40 career games, since sacks became official in 1982. While Donald doesn't have a game with multiple sacks this season, his last 2-sack game came against Dallas last year. The Cowboys are 7-3 coming off a bye week over the last 10 seasons, which is tied for the fifth best record in that span. Coach Mike McCarthy is 11-5 coming off a bye as a head coach, the 5th most such wins since his debut in 2006. The X factor is Rams left tackle Alaric Jackson. This game may well hinge on the Rams' ability to give Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua time to get open and for Stafford to find them. Jackson's play will be critical. He has only a 79% pass block win rate, which is ranked 63rd out of 68, and will face a ferocious Cowboys pass rush that includes Micah Parsons. Stafford has averaged 18 fantasy points a game against the Cowboys over the course of his career. With Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua as his top 2 receivers, he can be viewed as a QB2 with upside. Rams are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games following losses. FPI likes Dallas in this one, 69% going with Dallas. And I'm going to go with Dallas to win this game as well. Close game, but I think Dallas pulls it out. 30-23, the Dallas Cowboys defeat the Los Angeles Rams. Next up, staying on the Fox side of the ledger, the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Green Bay Packers from Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Game on Fox, and working the game will be Kenny Albert with Jonathan Vilma and Shannon Spake. And it's a pick'em, boys. I see even. So I think that means we got ourselves a pick'em game here, guys. Long series history, obviously. Green Bay leads the all-time series 64-56 with 3 ties in the regular season. Both teams split last year, but both teams won at home. So Green Bay won in Lambeau last year, 41-17. Matter of fact, Green Bay's won the last 2 meetings in Lambeau. 41-17 last year, 37-10 in 2021. Minnesota's last win in Green Bay was 2020, 28-22. So, not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Minnesota, Green Bay, in Lambeau. Big NFC North Division matchup here. Green Bay coming off a loss to Denver, whereas Minnesota, huge win over San Francisco this past Monday night, and they still managed to do so even without their franchise receiver, Justin Jefferson. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing how they were able to do that without him. So, but yeah, I mean, this momentum definitely is continuing for them, and yeah, I mean, we all know the history with these 2 teams here. So, look, I mean, as of right now, I got to go with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I expect this run for them to continue, and yeah, and if they just continue doing the things the way they are right now, and if they can continue to play well before Justin Jefferson comes back, that could be a huge lift for them. So nothing more for me to say. I got Minnesota winning. It's yours, Florio.
If the Vikings can get out to an early lead, they might be able to bury the Packers, who have been outscored 63-6 in the first half in their last 4 games. But if Minnesota allows Green Bay to hang around, which has been the Vikings' penchant all season, having all 7 of their games decided by 1 score, then perhaps the second half Packers can break their 3-game losing streak. The Vikings will become the final team to record a rushing touchdown this season. All 16 of their offensive touchdowns to this point have come via the passing game. And they have the NFL's 3rd most attempts, 24, in goal-to-go situations. That is a difficult approach to maintain. And the Vikings will emphasize their running game in those situations on Sunday. Packers defense has allowed 5 rushing touchdowns on goal-to-goal situations, tied for the 9th most in the league. Wide receiver Jordan Addison has 6 touchdown receptions this season, tied for the 2nd most in the NFL, behind Miami's Tyreek Hill with 7 and Buffalo's Stephon Diggs with 6. Nice. His 3 straight games with a receiving touchdown are tied for the longest streak by a Vikings rookie all time. Hall of Famer Randy Moss had 7 straight in 1998. The X factor is Packers quarterback Jordan Love. The Vikings blitz 56% of the time, the highest rate by a team since at least 2006. And it will be Love's responsibility to make quick decisions in the face of that blitz. Love has just a 31 QBR over his last 3 games. Love's quarterback rating with running back Aaron Jones on the field this season is 71.5, but it drops to 47 without him in the game. For those planning to include Love in their fantasy lineups, Jones playing significant snaps is crucial, since the Vikings defense allows the 9th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Packers are 0-3 against the spread in their last 3 games. FPI likes Minnesota, 58% going with Minnesota. I'm going with Minnesota as well. 24-20, Minnesota steals one at Lambeau and keeps this nice little run going. So, MF, Minnesota, big momentum. They beat San Francisco, still without Justin Jefferson. I don't know how they're doing it, but can they keep it up at Lambeau?
You would think they would keep it up in Lambeau, but it's not an easy. That's not easy at all. I think it's going to be a tough call here, a tough go for if you're Green Bay. I think Minnesota's got all the momentum going for themselves right now, and I do believe at the end that it will be. I do believe Minnesota will win this game, so there's really nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, guys. I believe this is the final Fox game before we get into our side of the ledger. The New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And on the call for this game for Fox will be Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman. New Orleans opening up as a 1-point favorite. New Orleans leads the all-time series 8-5. They've won the last 4 meetings in a row against Indianapolis, including Super Bowl 44. MF, you and I should remember that one. Last meeting in New Orleans, last meeting was 2019 in New Orleans. New Orleans won going away 34-7. Last meeting in Indianapolis was in 2015. New Orleans won that one as well, 27-21. And Indianapolis has not beaten New Orleans at home and overall since week 1 of 2007. 41-10 in the old RCA Dome. You remember, that was the first game after the Indianapolis Colts won the Super Bowl. That was the 2007 season opener, that Thursday night. So that's the last time Indianapolis has beaten New Orleans overall and at home. So let's get into this one. The Colts have committed 8 turnovers in the last 2 games, undermining their impressive offensive totals, 58 points and 810 total yards. Quarterback Gardner Minshew is responsible for all of the turnovers, and the Colts are looking for ways to minimize the giveaways so their production doesn't go to waste. But that will not be easy against the New Orleans defense that has already produced 12 takeaways in 7 games, including 8 interceptions tied for 3rd in the NFL. Remarkably, each of those 8 interceptions was produced by a different defender. Saints wide receiver Chris Olave will have a bounce-back game with 100 receiving yards and a touchdown against Indy. Saints have struggled on offense this season with the chemistry between quarterback Derek Carr and Chris Olave being a point of contention. However, the Colts have given up 76 total points in the last 2 games, and the Saints have had 10 days to reflect on their offensive problems, making Olave a prime candidate to put up yards. Derek Carr has had 50 attempts in consecutive games, and a 3rd straight would tie him with Drew Bledsoe in 1995 for the longest streak since the 1970 merger. Quarterbacks are 0-9 this season with 50-plus pass attempts, and the last win was by Cincinnati's Joe Burrow in 2022. The X factor is Colts wide receiver Josh Downs. He's coming off a huge game, 5 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. And the rookie's receiver tracking metrics have been encouraging as well. He has an overall score of 63, which is 20th best among wide receivers. The Colts give up the 6th most fantasy points a game to running backs. This season, Alvin Kamara is averaging 26 touches and almost 22 fantasy points a game. Saints have gone under the total in 12 of their last 13 games. Last week snapped a streak of 12 straight unders, which had been the longest streak in over 35 seasons. 54% going with the New Orleans Saints in the FPI. I'm going to go with New Orleans as well. Not convincingly, but I'm going to say New Orleans pulls it out. I'm going to say they'll steal one in Indy. 26-20, New Orleans defeats Indianapolis. Tough game to call, but I got to give a slight edge to New Orleans. But if Indy were to somehow win, I would not at all be surprised. So not much more to say here. MF, sleeper game of the week. New Orleans, Indianapolis. New Orleans has won 4 in a row against Indy, including Super Bowl 44. Do I hear 5, or does Indy finally snap the streak?
You would hope Indy would snap the streak. I just don't see it happening. I feel like New Orleans is probably going to win this game. Not convincingly, but I think they'll win by a good enough margin. Like I say 27-17. But I think New Orleans will win. So Bullock, it's yours.
Bullock, are you there? Oh boy. Okay. I don't know if Bullock stepped away or what have you, but I think we may have. All right, we got him. All right, Bullock. New Orleans and Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough one here. I mean, this to me could go either way. I mean, but I gotta go with New Orleans Saints to win this one, and I got them barely eking this one out. So the Saints win. So let's move on to the next game, Florio.
Gentlemen, we finally have a mothership game, and what a way to start off our side of the ledger here. Now, gentlemen, I have to ask you, I'm hopeful that you two can keep it professional during this because it's Buddy Bowl time. Here we go. Here we go. It's already the second meeting this season. They've met already once before. They're meeting for the second time. It is Michael Bullock's New England Patriots squaring off against good old MF Michael Fletcher's Miami Dolphins, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida, on CBS. And on the call for this one for CBS will be Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Aditi Kinkibuela. And the spread favors the Miami Dolphins. Miami opening up as a 9-point favorite, 9-point spread for Miami. We know the series history. This is already the second meeting. They met once before. We all remember it like it was yesterday because the three of us got together over at Stevie D's in Riverside on a Sunday night in week number 2 last month. They met in Foxborough, and the Miami Dolphins won in Foxborough, defeating the New England Patriots 24-17. And with that win, Miami adds to their regular season series lead. Miami now leads at 60-53. 60-53, Miami. Miami winning in Foxborough. It was the first time it's the second time in 3 years they did that. The last time was 2021. Good sign for MF. The Miami Dolphins have won each of the last 3 meetings at home against the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots have not won in Miami since 2019, when New England literally kicked the door down and made themselves at home at the Hard Rock. 43-0 beatdown back when Tom Brady was ruling the world. So, all right. So here we go. MF, it's only fitting you started off. Buddy Bowl Part 2. Your Dolphins, Bullock's Patriots, this time in the Hard Rock. Miami coming off of a tough loss to Philadelphia last week, and I know you boys are hopping mad and you boys are ready to take it out on New England. So, Patriots Dolphins Part 2. What happens?
Yeah, well, obviously, after one of the biggest atrocities I've ever witnessed, where basically the referees literally stole the game from the Miami Dolphins. Let's be realistic. I'm not even I don't think I really need to rehash it. Um, because not only did Dolphin fans talk about it, but football fans in general were yelling about that game more than anything else. So it kind of was one of those where, yeah, they knew something was definitely up. So Miami took a tough loss. We definitely took the L, but now we're going up against New England. And like we said, going into this, I think earlier on I would have been a lot more confident about, dealing with the Patriots off that game, and we probably would take our emotions out. But if you've been noticing the injury report lately, guys, there's been some big injuries coming, especially from Miami. Tyreek Hill is hurt. Waddle is hurt. A couple of our offensive line guys are hurt. So what are we going to get offensively for the Miami Dolphins is actually a concern. This is actually one of those type of moments where if you're Miami, you're watching you're watching the injury report every day from now until the game to hope and see who we're gonna have available on our squad when we do go up against New England on Sunday. Because right now it's uncertainty, especially offensively. Mostert's dealing with an ankle. Tyreek Hill ended up on the injury report. I think they said it was an ankle or a back injury. Waddle's still dealing with the back. The O-line is a little bit hurt. So basically, you're thinking, is this bad? Or are Miami resting their guys because they're thinking about Kansas City the next game in Germany? I hope that's probably not the case because all of a sudden, there's rumblings going on in Miami about that defense. And they're talking about Xavier Howard coming back. He did not play against Philly last week, and we all saw what happened there. He might be coming back, and he might be playing. There's rumors about maybe Nick Needham showing up, and if he does, that's a great help for the Dolphin D. But Jalen Ramsey now being declared available for the Miami Dolphins. This is huge for the Dolphins because of the fact Jalen Ramsey is the guy. This was the money, the big money maker that Miami got during the offseason. Now it's gonna kickstart the defense, and now Ramsey could possibly be starting on Sunday against New England. And if you're Mac Jones, you're probably thinking, damn, this is not the time to see Jalen Ramsey. Yes, he had a good performance, but Miami's D, they just went from maybe out, not being good to now they're whole. If Ramsey's out there with Tyreek Hill, Kader Kohu, and Jalen Phillips is going to be in that mix. Of course, you got Van Ginkel, you got Christian Wilkins, you got Robert Jones, you got all the boys. If they're healthy and if that defense is geared up and ready to go, I don't care who the hell you are, you're not getting by that Dolphin D. So this might be one of those games where Miami's defense might be the reason why the Dolphins wins this game. Because like in the first matchup, Tua wasn't that great. He didn't really stood out, but the run attack had a moment. The defense had a moment. And it was the little things that was just enough that got Miami over the finish line and to the victory. I think it's going to be similar to the first game in Foxborough. I think it's going to be almost similar to the first game at Gillette. But this time around, the Dolphin defense is going to be a lot more vaunted, a lot more dangerous. And if you're Matt Jones, you had a great game. You went up against practically one of the best defenses in the NFL with Buffalo, and you held in check. So Miami knows that they got to play almost similar or even better than they played against New England, because that was the one thing they were able to make mistakes. Now, we're also keeping a very watchful eye on the offensive side, because if we do get Tyreek, if we do get Waddle, if we get Raheem Mostert, if they are, good enough, not at 100%, but if they're good enough to play, then this could be a recipe for a possible blowout in Miami. Miami wins easily. I don't think it's gonna. I honestly think it's going to be similar to the battle in New England. I think Miami is going to be very grateful for the win, but I do believe it'll be like I want to say like a 23-17 scoreline, with the Miami Dolphins beating New England, getting that second win, remaining first place in the AFC East as they head off to Frankfurt, Germany for what could be practically the AFC game of the year against the Kansas City Chiefs next week.
Welcome back to us, MF, because that's going to be our game right after the World Series. That game's going to be waiting for us after we're done with the World Series.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, get your passport, Florio, and start learning some German, because that's what we're going to be doing in about a week. So, nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Willkommen. That's a German word. That's German for hello. So, all right, Bullock. We heard MF's point of view from the Dolphins. Can your Patriots shock the world like they did against Buffalo one more time?
That's going to be tough. I mean, especially if. So, they're getting some key defensive guys back in Miami, but if you get Waddle and Tyreek Hill, if they're able to somehow play, it could be a long, long afternoon for the Patriots in Miami. And let's not forget another thing, Fletch and Florio. Miami has not been kind to the Patriots over the years. I mean, playing in Miami has been very tough for the Patriots. I mean, the last win I could ever remember that was, well, obviously they did beat them in 2019 and 2016, but there were other times that trip to Miami hasn't gone well for them, and I think that trend, unfortunately, is going to continue. So I got the Miami Dolphins winning this one as well. So it's yours, Florio.
All right. I forgot to give my thought. Okay. The Patriots excel at stopping the run, allowing the fewest yards per carry in the league this season at 3.42. Despite playing 2 games without star rookie Devon Achane, the Dolphins still lead the NFL in rushing yards per game at 162 and per carry at 6.3. Starting running back Raheem Mostert missed practice Wednesday with an ankle injury, but returned yesterday and figures to lead a backfield that will also feature Jeff Wilson Jr. and Salvon Ahmed. The Patriots will gain more yards than the Dolphins. Miami has gained 3,236 yards this season, while allowing 2,417, as its 819-yard differential is easily the best in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs are next with 750. The Patriots have gained only 2,060 yards, but a combination of a banged-up Dolphins roster and a Mac Jones-led New England attack coming off its best game of the season foreshadows the potential for a flip. The Dolphins have scored 143 points in their first 3 home games against Denver, the New York Giants, and Carolina, the most points in any team's first 3 home games in NFL history. Miami would need to score 57 against New England to tie the 1950 Los Angeles Rams for the most points in the team's first 4 home games. The X factor, the Miami Dolphins offensive line. Miami posted a 38% pass block win rate against Philadelphia last Sunday night, its worst of the season. It was also its worst expected points added per play performance as an offense. Pass protection should be much easier against New England. Patriots' run defense has been exceptional, allowing only 101 yards a game, ranked 13th, and leading the league with 3.4 yards a carry. Dolphins are 5-0 against the spread against teams with losing records, 4-0 against the spread as a favorite, and 3-0 against the spread at home this season. MF, I know you're going to like this. The FPI loves Miami. 81% going with the Miami Dolphins to win this game. And I'm going with the Miami Dolphins to win this game. I think New England's going to maybe give them some fits early, but maybe in the first half. But I think in the second half, Miami will pull away. Miami Dolphins win this game. My final score, 35-17. Miami defeats New England and sweeps them. So I gotta just take a quick look in the archives to see when was the last time the Miami Dolphins swept the New England Patriots. You'd have to go back to, well, actually, it was just 2021, just 2 years ago, looking to sweep them for the second time in 3 years. So, but we'll see what happens. All right, so we go from Buddy Bowl to the Battle of New York next up. It's also on our side of the ledger. By the way, New England and Miami, the New England-Miami game came in at number 6 on our side of the ledger because of the records. This game is right behind at number 7. The Battle of New York, as it will be the New York Jets squaring off against the New York Giants. MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. On CBS, Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross. They will have the call. The Jets are opening up as 3-point favorites. The Giants lead the all-time regular season series 8-6. 8-6 in favor of the Giants against the Jets. The Jets have won the last 2 meetings. Their last meeting was 2019. The Jets were the home team, and the Jets won 34-27. Last time the Giants were the home team was 2015. Jets also won 23-20 in overtime. Giants last beat the Jets in 2011, 29-14. That was at the Jets. The last time the Giants beat the Jets as the home team was 2007, 35-24. So Michael Bullock, I believe, starts this one off. So, all right, Bullock, I know you've been in and out for a moment or so. Hopefully you're all good to go here. Michael Bullock, you started off the Battle of New York, the Jets and the Giants. Who you got?
Yeah, this is a battle for bragging rights when it comes to New York, but yeah, the Giants, I mean, it's been a struggle for them lately, and I think for the Jets, this is a huge opportunity for them to really to continue playing well and hopefully keeping pace in the division. So I'm going to go with the Jets to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
The Giants are last in the NFL in scoring at 12 points a game, while the Jets are 22nd at 19. Both are likely to turn to their backup quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor for the Giants, as Daniel Jones will likely not start as he is still dealing with the neck injury he suffered against Miami. And for the Jets, of course, Zach Wilson, who has been in place since the unfortunate injury to Aaron Rodgers on opening night. Points are expected to be at a minimum, as the over-under of this game is the second lowest of any game this week. The two teams will combine for 10 sacks. The Jets and Giants rank 4th at 34% and 8th, 32% respectively, in pressure percentage, and they will be facing offensive lines that have struggled to protect the passer. Wilson has been sacked 9 times in the last 2 games, and the Giants have surrendered 37 sacks in 7 games. The New York Giants' 85 points scored this season are their fewest through the first 7 games of a season since 1976, when they ironically scored 76 points. If they are held under 17 points on Sunday, it will be their second fewest points to the first 8 games of a season in the Super Bowl era. The X factor is Giants cornerback Deonte Banks. He's off to a nice start to his career with 0.9 yards allowed per coverage snap, well below the 1.4 average for outside corners, The Giants defense is coming off its best performance of the season against the Washington Commanders. Running back Breece Hall is positioned to deliver a great performance against the Giant defense. The Giants have allowed the 6th most rushing yards a game and the 8th most fantasy points a game. The Jets have lost 7 straight games off a bye, 2-5 against the spread. They're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games off a bye. FPI likes the Jets in this one. 64% going with the New York Jets. I'm going with the New York Jets as well. Close game, but I think the Jets pull it out. 20-17. The Jets defeat the Giants in this latest Battle of New York. So, not much more to say. MF, Jets and Giants, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna also agree with that. I'm also going with the New York Jets. I just feel like they're just gonna be the better team on this day. There's really nothing more to add on that one. It's gonna be a good one, but I do believe the Jets are gonna win it. So yeah, Florio is yours.
You ready for the game of the week on our side of the ledger, boys?
Let's do it.
Here we go. By the way, for when it comes to our side of the ledger, this is the last week for MF and I. That will at MF and I will not be calling the lead game, because of our World Series commitments. But get ready, Germany, for Miami and Kansas City next week. That's all I'm saying. But here's the game of the week for this week, and we're going to treat it like it's our game anyway when we get to MF, that is. The Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. CBS has it. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn will be on the call. Jacksonville opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two former AFC Central Division rivals. Just give me a moment here as I pull it up. And I'm running into a little moment. Okay, here we go. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series 13-12, and Pittsburgh's won the last 2 meetings. Their last meeting was 2020 in Jacksonville. Pittsburgh won 27-3. Last meeting in Pittsburgh, MF, remember that wild and crazy divisional playoff game those two had? January 2018. That's the last time Jacksonville won in Pittsburgh, 45-42. Regular season-wise, it was also that same season, 2017. Jacksonville won in Pittsburgh, 30-9. Steelers last beat the Jags at home in 2011, 17-13. So here we go, boys. Game of the week on our side of the ledger, and it's only fitting I started off. The Jaguars have one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL, giving up a league-high 1,917 yards. But even though they gave up 300 passing yards to Derek Carr a week ago, linebacker Foyesade Oluokun nabbed the first pick 6 of his career. The Steelers, meanwhile, have one of the most sluggish passing offenses, with just 1,153 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Quarterback Kenny Pickett, though, came alive in the fourth quarter to beat the LA Rams and completed all 7 pass attempts for 138 yards. Positive signs for 2 struggling units? Maybe. Jaguars running back Travis Etienne will rush for multiple touchdowns for the 4th consecutive game, making him the first player to do so since Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson in his MVP season of 2006. The Steelers ranked 28th against the rush, 142 yards allowed a game, but have given up only 4 rushing touchdowns this season. 2 of those 4 touchdowns were 1-yarders. The Pittsburgh Steelers are playing man coverage on 49% of dropbacks, the 11th highest rate in the NFL. Pittsburgh might want to lead into that even more as Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence has the highest QBR in the NFL against zone coverage, but ranks 24th against man coverage. That's the 2nd largest drop in QBR from zone to man this season. The X factor, Steelers edge rusher TJ Watt. It just feels like they need something special from him to have a chance. Watt has had 2 sacks, a touchdown, or an interception in every one of Pittsburgh's victories this year. The Jaguars defense ranks top 5 in targets, receptions, and receiving yards allowed to running backs. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren could accumulate more receptions as receivers out of the backfield. Jaguars are 3-0 against the spread on the road this season. The FPI likes Jacksonville in this one, 61%, going with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I am going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game as well. Close game, Going to be a great game, I believe. Hence the game of the week. Jacksonville steals one. I'm going to say 27-24. Jacksonville defeats Pittsburgh. So not much more to say. MF, come on in. The Phil Sims to my Jim Nance. I know it's not our game because we're doing the World Series, and rightfully so. But let's talk about it like it was our game. So as the Phil Sims to my Jim Nance, do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. This is gonna be an interesting game. And a lot of people who was feeling the same way like I was. I feel like this was gonna be one of the Jacksonville Jaguars type situation. It's gonna be a number of different ways. We don't know how it's gonna play out. I just feel like Jacksonville is definitely they should be the better team, but like you said, Watt is going to be a problem, and he might be how this might turn in. But I'll say this at the end, I do believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, I think they were wagging, guys. I think they are for real. I think they're done really well lately. So for me, nothing more to say. Jacksonville wins. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Like you said, this is a big game here, and of course, you always got to think about the history with these two, especially in the playoffs. You have to think back to the 2017 divisional round where Jacksonville went into Pittsburgh and upset the Steelers, only to lose to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game the following week. So, yeah, I mean, it should be a good one, but like you said, that offensive line for the Jaguars, they got to try to contain TJ Watt. I mean, if they can't contain him, it could be a very rough afternoon for them. But I'm still going with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this one. I still think they'll be able to pull this one out. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to the next game.
And it will be our number 4 game of the week on our side of the ledger. 2 early games left, as it will feature the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Tennessee Titans, Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee, on CBS. And on the call for that one will be Beth Mowens, along with James Lofton, Jay Feely, and Amanda Guerra. And the spread favors, as soon as I find it in my list here, it favors Atlanta. Atlanta opening up as a 2.5-point favorite. Series history, Tennessee leads the all-time series 8-7. Their last meeting was 2019 in Atlanta, and Tennessee won it 24-10. Last meeting in Nashville, 2015, Atlanta winning by and they won a game that good alumni Michael Fletcher was very proud of. It was a 10-7 defensive battle in favor of Atlanta in Nashville the last time they played there in 2015. Tennessee last beat Atlanta at home in 2007, 20-13. So not much more to say here. MF, Atlanta, Tennessee, number 4 game of the week on our side of the ledger. Tennessee, they got to get going. They could be without your old friend Ryan Tannehill. He's banged up. They might be without him. But Atlanta, how about Atlanta? First place in the NFC South, and they got a gift because of Tampa's loss to Buffalo. Can they keep it in the NFC South?
Yeah, I know, definitely. I kind of feel like this could be that moment. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that this could go. So, I mean, I really feel like this could actually happen here. So, yeah, give me the Atlanta Falcons. I'm thinking Hawks, man. I got NBA on my mind tonight, man. But I will say this. I do believe when it's all said and done, I do believe the Falcons will win, and they're going to remain first place in the division. I just feel like they got something here. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you. I got the Falcons winning.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Falcons winning as well. I mean, I think that they're going to continue to play well and basically make it tough on the Titans. So I got the Falcons winning this one. So it's yours, Wario.
The Falcons defense has allowed only one rushing touchdown this season and is giving up 95 rushing yards a game. Regardless of who is at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, running back Derrick Henry will be the focal point of an offense that's averaging 110 rushing yards a game, its lowest amount since 2018. Look for Tennessee to get Henry involved early and improve upon his 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. First team to 20 points will win. Both Atlanta's and Tennessee's defenses have been stingy. The Falcons allowing 19 points a game and the Titans 19.5. And with the Titans potentially starting either Malik Willis or rookie Will Levis, if MF's old friend Ryan Tannehill can't play, Atlanta defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen will be able to confuse a young quarterback. Add in both teams having good red zone defenses. Tennessee is allowing touchdowns on just 30.4% of red zone trips, and Atlanta on 39% of red zone trips, and scoring could be difficult on Sunday. Derrick Henry has 8 rushes of 10-plus yards through 6 games this season, his fewest through 6 games since 2018, and his 3 rushing touchdowns are also his fewest through 6 games since 2018 also. The X factor, Falcons linebacker Nate Landman. With Ryan Tannehill likely out, one has to assume the Titans will take a run-heavy approach. Landman ranks 4th among linebackers in run-stop win rate. The Falcons rank 5th in rushing attempts per game, but they might find themselves out of their comfort zone against the Titans' formidable run defense. Drake London should be in your lineups this week as Tennessee's defense gives up the 8th most fantasy points to wide receivers. Titans are 5-0 against the spread after a bye under coach Mike Vrabel, 7-0-1 against the spread since 2015. Believe it or not, the FPI actually likes Tennessee in this one, 54%, going with the Tennessee Titans. But I'm going to make it unanimous. I agree with these guys. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons to win as well. Final score for me, I'm going to say 21-17 Atlanta defeats Tennessee. So not much more to say on that. We move on now to our final early game of week number 8. Back to the Fox side of the ledger for an NFC East divisional matchup featuring the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the Washington Commanders from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Fox has this game, of course, and on the call for that one will be Chris Myers, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink. And the spread favors. Just got to find it here. Spread favors Philadelphia. Philadelphia opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. Already their second meeting as well, just like with New England and Miami. This is their second meeting as well. They met in Philadelphia 4 weeks ago, at the first of this month. They met in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia won a wild 34-31 overtime game. So with that win, Philadelphia cut into Washington's all-time series lead. Washington still leads the all-time series. It's now 88-83 with 5 ties. Eagles have won the last 2 meetings in Washington, including 24-8 last year and 20-16 in 2021. Washington last beat Philly at home in 2020, 27-17. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, you started off our final early game of week number 8. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders at FedEx Field in Landover. Does Philly sweep them, or does Washington somehow find a way to steal one here?
What matchup we're talking about here?
Philadelphia and Washington.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a big one here, but look, I mean, Philadelphia's coming off of a win over the Dolphins on Sunday night. I mean, I just see the momentum continuing for them, so I basically got Philadelphia winning this one. So it's yours, Florio.
Washington nearly beat Philadelphia in the first meeting before losing in overtime in week 4. But that game turned largely on the Eagles' big plays. Of Philadelphia's 415 yards, 176 came on 5 plays, 2 of which were touchdowns. Eagles receivers accounted for 4 of those plays in 152 yards. The Commanders have allowed 34 plays of 20 yards or more, while the Eagles have 29 such plays, including 6 last week against Miami. Safety Kevin Byard will generate a takeaway in his Eagles debut. Philly has one of the best defensive fronts in football and is facing a Washington offense that has yielded a league-high 40 sacks on quarterback Sam Howell. Pressure up front will lead to opportunity in the back end, and Byard, a Philadelphia native, will cash in to make an instant impact for his hometown team. Wide receiver A.J. Brown has had 5 straight games with at least 125 receiving yards, tied for the longest streak in NFL history with Pat Studstill in 1966 and Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson in 2012. The X factor is Sam Howell. His sack rate is way too high at 13.5%. This has been a problem for Howell since college, and unless he can turn it around, that caps his upside. Howell and the Commanders might have to rely on receiver Terry McLaurin in the passing game against Philadelphia, who ranks second in run-stop win rate. Commanders are 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 games as an underdog, 2-2 outright, 3-1 against the spread this season. Big FPI. FPI loves Philadelphia. 76% going with Philadelphia. I'm going with Philadelphia. I think it's going to be another close game. I'm going to say 31-24. Philadelphia gets by Washington and completes the season sweep. So, MF, your thoughts to close out the early games, Philly and Washington.
Well, I'm in agreement. I feel like Philadelphia is the more superior team, and especially after the way that they handled the situation, I do believe Philly is going to win the game. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Anthony, let's start with the late games.
Late games, yes. We have 4 of them. 1 4:05 game on Fox and 3 4:25 games on CBS. Let's start with the 4:05 game on Fox. It's a cross flex, a game that you would have normally had seen on CBS, but it's on Fox this time around. Good one here. We got the Cleveland Browns squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks from Lumen Field in Seattle. On Fox with Adam Amin sitting in for Joe Davis, while Joe Davis, of course, handles the World Series. Adam Amin will be sitting in with Joe Davis's crew, Daryl Moose Johnston and Pam Oliver. Seattle opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two favors the... Just got to take it down a little further. All right. Seattle leads the all-time series 13-6. Seattle's won the last 2 meetings against Cleveland. Last meeting was 2019 in Cleveland. Seattle won 32-28. Last meeting in Seattle, 2015. Seattle also won that one 30-13. Cleveland Browns have not won in Seattle since all the way back in 1989. Back when the Seahawks were playing in the old Kingdome. That's the last time Cleveland won in Seattle. 17-7 back in 1989. So with that, gentlemen, let's get into the late games. With Deshaun Watson back on the sideline because of his shoulder injury, P.J. Walker will make his second start of the year. Walker has 3 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, and a 50% completion rate while filling in for Watson this season. But he did quarterback the Browns to a 19-17 upset win over the then undefeated San Francisco 49ers 2 weeks ago. Seattle quarterback Geno Smith, meanwhile, ranks 11th in total QBR, but has thrown a red zone interception in each of the last 2 games. Whoever wins the play-action matchup will win the game. The Seahawks own the best play-action passing offense in the NFL, with Geno Smith completing a league-best 80% of his play-action throws. The Browns boast the best play-action passing defense in the NFL, an almost 54% completion rate allowed. Seattle running back Kenneth Walker III has 6 rushing touchdowns this season. The last Seahawks player to record at least 7 rushing touchdowns in the team's first 7 games of a season, Sean Alexander, in his MVP season of 2005 when he had 12. The X factor is Browns cornerback Denzel Ward. With a -19 EPA allowed and just 0.9 yards allowed per coverage snap, the average is 1.4 for outside corners. Ward is having a great season. He and the Browns defense could make life rough for Seattle's offense. 6 running backs have scored at least 10 fantasy points against the Seahawks defense, which bodes well for Kareem Hunt on Sunday. Hunt has consecutive games with 10 or more touches and 15 or more fantasy points. Seahawks have covered 4 of their last 5 games, including going 3-0 against the spread as a favorite in that span. 3 straight Seahawks games have gone under the total. FPI likes Seattle, 57% going with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks as well. Not going to be easy. It's going to be a close game, but I think Seattle pulls it out. 23-17, Seattle defeats Cleveland. So not much more to say. MF, Cleveland and Seattle, they kick off the late game, sleeper game of the week.
Sleeper game of the week, no doubt about it. Look, there's been a lot of talk lately about Cleveland, and there's been a lot of annoying stuff that's been going on. So, I think it kind of questions now, where do they go? What are we looking at as a whole? But I do believe that Seattle should win this game. So I really got nothing more to say. And yeah, Anthony, it's yours. I mean, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Bullock, are you there? We might. I don't know. I think we may have lost Bullock this time. Yeah. Waiting for. I don't know if Bullock stepped away or if. Or I'm not sure, but we'll wait for him to return. So all right. So with that being said, while we wait for Bullock to come back, let's get into the first of the 3 425 games that we'll see on CBS. And we started off with the Zonk game of the week on our side of the ledger, as it will be the Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. This game, of course, on CBS with Chris Lewis, Ross Tucker, and Justin Walters. They will be on the call for this one. And Baltimore opening up as a 9.5-point favorite. Baltimore leads the all-time series 5-2. Their last meeting was 2019 in Baltimore. Baltimore won 23-17. Last meeting in Arizona, 2015. Arizona won 26-18. Baltimore last won in Arizona back in 2003, 26-18 at the old Sun Devil Stadium. So not much more to say here. MF, I'm sorry to do it, but you lead off on the Zonk game of the week on our side of the ledger, Baltimore and Arizona.
Yeah. The way Baltimore played last week put everybody on notice. Like, that was such an eye-opening performance that I think it really changed the dynamic of the series. And all of a sudden, everything was looking good. Everything was looking fine. And then Baltimore just absolutely crushed Detroit. And I mean, flat out beat them up. And it really opened the eyes on a lot of people. It changed. It changed the dynamic. It changed the way we feel about certain teams. And it just was one of those moments where you're just like, oh my God, is this team for real? Yeah, they're for real. And they are dangerous. So give me, I got to say, I believe the Ravens are going to win this game. And they might be the underground team, or the team that nobody's talking about, that could end up being a major problem in the AFC. Enough about Kansas City, enough about Miami, enough about Buffalo. I think it's time that we put some respect on the Ravens, because they definitely look like they're back. This is a team that could be very dangerous. So nothing more to say. Hopefully, Bullock, you're back. If you are, it's yours. If not, then I'll give it back to Anthony.
Bullock? I guess he's not. I guess he's still out. All right. I'll take it for a spin. Hey, Heading into Sunday, the Cardinals' top 3 rushers are either injured, James Conner at 364 yards, or are non-running backs in quarterback, Joshua Dobbs at 232 and receiver Rondale Moore at 136. The Ravens' defense is ranked second in yards allowed a game at 272 and first in yards allowed per play, but has given up 670 rushing yards, 303 fewer than the Cardinals have rushed for this season. Ravens will record their first shutout in 5 years. While all the talk has been about quarterback Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore defense has been dominant, allowing the fewest points in the NFL at about 14 a game. Cardinals have been struggling to find the end zone, scoring 1 touchdown in their last 9 quarters, and will be without starting quarterback Kyler Murray with an ACL, number 1 running back James Conner with a knee, and top tight end Zach Ertz with a quad. Ravens are 5-2 all-time against Arizona, with Jackson winning his only start against Arizona 23-17 in 2019. In that game, Jackson had 272 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 16 carries for 120 yards. The X factor is Ravens linebacker Roquan Smith. The Cardinals' designed run rate isn't that high because they are often losing and forced to pass, but when the win probability is between 15% and 85%, they're the run-heaviest team in the league. As long as Smith and the Ravens' run-stopping unit do their job, Baltimore should be fine. Arizona gives up the 6th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. This season, the Cardinals' defense ranks among the top 5 in its use of zone coverage. Nearly 88% of Zay Flowers' receiving yards this season have come against zone coverage. Cardinals are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games after starting 3-0 against the spread. FPI loves Baltimore. 85% going with the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Easy win, lock of the week. 30-13, the Baltimore Ravens all over the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, our next 425 game, AFC West divisional matchup. This game came in at number 5. This is our number 5 game of the week, as it will feature, for the second time in 3 weeks, the Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Denver Broncos from Empower Field at Mile High in Denver. And on the call for CBS, Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. And Kansas City opening up as a 7-point favorite. These two teams just met a couple of weeks ago on Thursday Night Football. Ugly game in Kansas City, but it was the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Denver Broncos by a weird score of 19-8. And with that win, Kansas City now leads the all-time series with Denver 72-54. And have now won, I believe, 16 straight against the Denver Broncos. Denver hasn't beaten Kansas City since 2015 in Kansas City. They have not beaten the Kansas City Chiefs at home since 2014. 2014 was the last time Denver won at home against Kansas City. 24-17 was the final in that one. So, so with that being said, Michael Bullock, if you're back, come on in. We'll get you caught up on what you missed. You missed a couple of games, but we'll get you caught up on the 2 games you missed: Cleveland, Seattle, and Baltimore, Arizona. In addition to this one. Or if not, then I'll just take it for a spin to start it off. So, yeah, I'm guessing so. Okay. Despite the Broncos having spectacular metrics in the run game last week against Green Bay, they have yet to lean on that part of their offense. A team whose most reliable feature on offense has been its running game is 23rd in carries, 154. Denver's running backs have had 15, 19, and 23 carries in the last 3 games, respectively. The 23 carry game was the team's first win since week 4 against Chicago. And the total will likely have to be higher to snag the upset in this one. Denver is going against the Chiefs' run defense that ranks 18th in rush yards allowed, 740, and 26th allowed in yards per rush at 4.6. This will be a 1-score game that will be decided in the 4th quarter. That might sound unusual given that the Chiefs are on a 6-game winning streak and have beaten the Broncos 16 consecutive times. while Denver is 2-5. But the Chiefs took 4 of their last 6 wins over Denver by 6 points or fewer. Even this season's 19-8 victory over the Broncos in Week 6 on the Thursday night was a one-score game until Kansas City kicked a field goal with less than 2 minutes remaining. Patrick Mahomes has a perfect 16-0 record on the road against the AFC West, which is the best record by any quarterback in road division games since the 1970 merger with a minimum of 10 starts. The only quarterback with a longer win streak in road division games? Hall of Famer Joe Montana, who won 20 straight from 1984 all the way to 1993. The X factor is the Denver Broncos secondary. Denver has the worst EPA per dropback on defense of any team in the league. The Broncos need to have the game of their season to have a chance against Kansas City. No other defense has given up more fantasy points to running backs or rushing yards a game than the Broncos. Isaiah Pacheco, who has scored 13 or more fantasy points in 5 consecutive games, including one with 25 points, is a must start on Sunday. Chiefs are 11-5 against the spread versus Denver in their head-to-head winning streak. Broncos have covered 3 of the last 4 meetings, with the exception coming in Week 6, when Kansas City won by 11 as a 10.5-point favorite. FPI loves Kansas City. 83% going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I will say I am going to go 38-20. Kansas City defeats Denver again. So there isn't much more to say here. MF, our number 5 game of the week, Kansas City and Denver. Denver beat Green Bay. That's great. But now they got Kansas City coming in. Casey's beating them 16 straight. Do I hear 17?
I'll give you 17. Yeah, I'm totally in an agreement here. I think it's gonna be Kansas City to win this game. And I really got nothing more to add. So Anthony, it's yours.
All right, still awaiting the return of Michael Bullock here. And we move on to the final 425 game. It's our number 2 game of the week on our side of the ledger. Good one here. The Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the San Francisco 49ers, Levi's Stadium in San Francisco. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. They will be in San Fran for this one. And we know the history of these two, which includes 2 Super Bowl matchups in Super Bowl 16 and Super Bowl 23, of course. And series history favors. Just got to find it here. It favors San Francisco. San Francisco leads the all-time series 11-4. Last meeting was 2021 in Cincinnati. San Francisco won 26-23 in overtime. They've also won. 49ers have won the last 2 meetings, both of them in Cincinnati. 2019, San Francisco all over Cincinnati, 41-17. Last meeting in San Francisco, 2015, Cincinnati actually won that game, 24-14. San Francisco has not beaten Cincinnati at home since 2007. 20-13, the final. All right, MF, number 2 game of the week, Cincinnati and San Francisco. Of course, the big storyline in this one, Brock Purdy, concussion protocol.
Concussion protocol has not been playing great lately. There's really nothing more to add here. Cincinnati looks like a team that they finally got underneath them. They're finally getting one of the great things, and yeah, this is gonna be a hell of a game. Look, I'm gonna say Cincinnati wins. I feel like they're definitely a better squad here, so I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals to beat them. And yeah, Anthony, I'll give it back to you.
All right. All right. After a dominant 5-0 start, the San Francisco 49ers have lost 2 in a row on the road, and things don't get any easier here as they return home to face a Cincinnati Bengals team that is trending in the right direction and coming off its bye week. Plus, San Francisco might be without quarterback Brock Purdy with a concussion. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, meanwhile, is going against a Niners pass defense that just gave up 378 yards and 2 touchdowns to Minnesota's Kirk Cousins last Monday night. Cincinnati's offense will hit 30 points against the 49ers. During San Francisco's 2-game skid, the 49ers are allowing almost 6 yards a play. This is a bad trend to have right now, considering Joe Burrow is the healthiest he has been all season. Burrow is 12-3 in his career against teams that are at least 3 games over 500, including the playoffs. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, that's the best winning percentage, 800, by any starting quarterback with a minimum of 10 such starts since at least 1950. The X factor is the Bengals' running game. The 49ers are better stopping the pass. EPA/P ranks 6th in the run, 17th. And Cincinnati has faced the light box on dropbacks 86% of the time this season, 3rd most. Burrow needs the threat of a running game to help him out. The Bengals have had 8 plays of 20-plus yards, the fewest in the league. It's bold to expect anyone on the offense to be better in this area against the 49ers. Bengals have covered 5 straight games as underdogs. Burrow is 16-8 against the spread in his career as an underdog, including the playoffs, 12-7 against the spread in regular season. This is their first game as an underdog this season. The FPI likes San Francisco in this one, 70% going with the San Francisco 49ers. MF, who did you go with? Did you go with San Fran or did you go with Cincinnati?
No, I went Cincinnati. I called for the upset.
I got sidetracked for a moment. But you know what? Unless a miracle happens and somehow, some way, Brock Purdy clears concussion protocol, and let's also not forget, I believe Deebo Samuel is on IR. I think so.
Deebo is out. Ayuk is questionable. I don't think and there's even talk that Ayuk might not play. So, yeah. So you got Ayuk you got to worry about, and you got Brock Purdy you got to worry about right now.
And Deebo, too.
Yeah.
Even with Christian McCaffrey. But you know what? I got to go with the upset as well. I'm actually gonna go with Cincinnati to steal one here. 26-21. Cincinnati steals one in San Francisco. So Bullock, if you're back in, let's get you caught up, or if not, then we'll just move on to the primetime games. Oh, Bullock's here. Okay, Bullock, we got to get you caught up. You missed pretty much all the late games here, so let's get you caught up on the late games. Cleveland, starting off with Cleveland and Seattle on at 4:05 on Fox.
Yeah, I gotta go with the. This is a tough one, but I gotta go with the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. The Zonk game of the week on our side of the ledger, on the CBS side of things, 4:25, Baltimore and Arizona.
Oh yeah, it's Baltimore all day.
Kansas City at Denver. Kansas City has beaten Denver 16 straight. Do I hear 17 straight?
17 straight, because I got Kansas City winning.
And the game we just talked about. Big game here. Cincinnati and San Francisco. Cincinnati on the decline. Cincinnati on the rise. San Francisco on the decline. And Brock Purdy, concussion protocol, all those other injuries. Something's got to give here.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys. I got to go with I basically got to go with who are they playing?
Cincinnati.
Oh, so I got to go with Cincinnati to win this one. I think they're gonna get the big time win here. So yeah, so now I'm all caught up. So let's move on.
All right. Primetime games, 2 games left, and we move on. Oh boy, the scheduling gods did not give us a good Sunday night matchup. All I can say is I am so glad that the 3 of us are going to be part of a very special group outing this Sunday night. Praise the Lord for that. Yeah, because we were not going to sit around and watch this stinker of a game here. How in the world could the scheduling gods keep this as the Sunday night football game for week number 8 when it should have been one of those other games we talked about? But nonetheless, here it is. Sunday night football on NBC. The Chicago Bears squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, they'll be in LA for that one. Chicago leads the all-time series 7-6. Last meeting was 2019 in Chicago. The Chargers won that game 17-16. Last time the Chargers were the home team, they were the San Diego Chargers in 2015, and Chicago won that game 22-19. The Chargers last beat the Bears at home in 2007, 14-3. So, MF, we started off with you. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about a stinker and a hoofa of a Sunday night game. But next week, oh boy, does that make up for it.
Yeah, when the scheduling makers made the games, I think they were thinking that Chicago was going to be a lot more better than they were. The Chargers have been so inconsistent, up and down, up and down, up and down. But unfortunately, it has not worked. And unfortunately for NBC, they got the short end of the stick on this one, man. I feel sorry for Collinsworth. I feel sorry for Tirico that they gotta deal with this dumpster fire. They're gonna have to do whatever they can to try to lighten it, make it is enjoyable of it, because they're getting a lot of chicken crap on this one. There's really nothing more that you can really do. You can hope and pray that you can make some chicken parm out of this, but even for me, I don't think there's much that you can save on this one. Chargers will win the game, so go Chargers, go. But yeah, even for me, this is not an enjoyable game for me to even sit through. So yeah, like we said, thank God we got that group outing on Sunday night, so we won't have to deal with this dumpster fire. So yeah, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, at least we don't have to sit through this dumpster fire here. Yeah, the scheduling just really didn't work well here, so I'm going with the Chargers to win this one. So nothing more to say. We got our final game, Florio.
Well, I got to give my thoughts on it first. So, all but one of the Chargers games have been decided by 7 points or fewer. But the last time they played a team starting a rookie quarterback, which was the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 4, linebacker Khalil Mack had 6 sacks. Still, the Chargers have won only 3 of their last 10 meetings against Chicago. And even with Chicago starting rookie Tyson Bagent, this game will likely come down to the final minutes. Bagent, who is starting in place of an injured Justin Fields with a thumb injury, went 21 of 29 for 162 yards and 1 score in his first start of the season last week against Las Vegas. The Bears defense will hold Austin Eckler to under 70 scrimmage yards and 0 touchdowns this week, the lowest marks for the running back in a 3-game stretch since 2018. Chicago's run defense has evolved from 31st last year to a top 5 unit through 7 games, while averaging 38 rushing yards allowed over the last 3 weeks. That doesn't bode well for Eckler, who has struggled to generate much in his return from an ankle injury. Justin Herbert has 15,681 career passing yards. He needs 98 passing yards to pass Dallas's Dak Prescott at 15,778 for the third most in a player's first 4 seasons. The X factor, Tyson Bagent. Last week, he posted a surprising QBR of 70.3. How real was that performance? Chicago's chances hinge on the answer to that question. No other team is as generous as the LA Chargers at surrendering fantasy points a game to wide receivers, which sets up a promising scenario for Chicago receiver DJ Moore. Bears are 7-15-2 against the spread under coach Matt Eberflus, tied with Tampa Bay for the worst record in the NFL in that span. Overs are 16-8 under Eberflus, the highest over percentage in the NFL in that span. FPI likes the Chargers here, 74% going with the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers, 34-16. Chargers win. Final game of the night, Monday Night Football on ESPN and simulcasting on ABC. It's the number 3 game of the week on our side of the ledger, as it features the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Detroit Lions from Ford Field in Detroit. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, with the call. Detroit opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. The Raiders, however, lead the all-time series 7-6. Their last meeting was 2019 in Oakland, and the then Oakland Raiders defeated the Detroit Lions 31-24, snapping a 4-game losing streak to the Detroit Lions. Last meeting in Detroit, 2015. Lions barely got by the Raiders 18-13. The last time the Raiders won in Detroit, guys, we got to go all the way back to 1990 when they were the Los Angeles Raiders and they defeated the Detroit Lions in the Pontiac Silverdome. That's the last time the Raiders won at the Lions. A wild 38-31 shootout in the Silverdome in 1990. The last time the Raiders won at the Lions. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, come on in. You started off. The final game of the week, Monday Night Football, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Detroit Lions. Vegas might get your old friend Jimmy G back. They might get Jimmy Garoppolo back. But boy, howdy, does the Detroit Lions need a get-right bounce-back game after they got embarrassed in Baltimore last week. So, Bullock, it's yours. You started off. Vegas and Detroit. Bullock, are you there? No, you might have stepped away again. All right. I'll take a first spin to start it off. This is a dangerous test for both teams as they face off on the primetime stage of Monday Night Football. After a 38-6 blowout loss at Baltimore, the Detroit Lions are looking to bounce back from an uncharacteristic road performance in which quarterback Jared Goff failed to throw a touchdown for the first time all season. Las Vegas is also looking to shake a 30-12 loss to Chicago with the likely return of starting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, who missed the last game with a back injury. Detroit has not hosted a Monday Night Football game since week 1 of 2018 when the Lions got manhandled 48-17 by the New York Jets at Ford Field. Raiders running back Josh Jacobs will have his first 100-yard rushing game since December 4th of last year, a stretch of 12 games. Yes, he'll do it against Detroit's number 3 ranked run defense, which has given up just 534 yards on the ground in 7 games. Jacobs has been getting close to breaking out in recent weeks, and the Raiders will need to establish the run game if they don't want to get blown out. Jared Goff has 22 passing touchdowns, the most in the NFL, an 85 QBR second, and a 73% completion percentage, 6th, off play action since the start of 2022. The Raiders defense has allowed a 71% completion percentage on play action since 2022, which ranks 30th in the NFL. The X factor is Lions right tackle Penei Sewell. It's strength on strength with Max Crosby against Sewell. But the young tackle has hit another level this season. He currently ranks 2nd in pass block win rate among starting tackles. Goff has averaged about 20 fantasy points a game as a starter for the Lions at home. Fantasy managers will want to start him at Ford Field against Las Vegas. Raiders are 5-0 against the spread with extra rest under coach Josh McDaniels. FPI loves Detroit in this one, 77% going with the Detroit Lions. I'm going with the Detroit Lions to bounce back. 31-21, Detroit defeats Las Vegas. MF, Vegas and Detroit, number 3 game of the week on Monday night.
Yeah, total agreement here. I just feel like Detroit really, we were looking for the brand new Lions. Unfortunately, it turned into the same old Lions, and that was a devastating blow for them, to say the very least. There was really nothing more to add here. It's going to be a bounce back. I do believe that they'll get the win here, and Detroit will beat the Raiders. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Michael Bullock, if you're back in, take it home, or if not, then we'll put the bow on this Week 8 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. So, Bullock, are you there? All right, guess not. All right. So with that will put the bow on this Week 8 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. As always, we'll be back with you tomorrow night, 10:30. Over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95, for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, as we will have Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Collision And then we do it all again Monday night, Ridiculously Raw, right here on the Tone 25, immediately following Monday Night Raw, as we will have our review of Monday Night Raw, the go-home show for Crown Jewel, and a condensed Tony's Take, as I will only be reviewing NXT Level Up because of the fact that Impact Wrestling did a Best of Bound for Glory edition last night, so nothing new to report. So I'm not even going to bother with the Impact Wrestling review. I already reviewed Bound for Glory, so. And then Wednesday, we have Wednesday Night Madness at 10 p.m., hosted by MF over on Braceway 95. We have NXT. We got AEW Dynamite. And a preview of the next Thursday Night Football game. And it features the Tennessee Titans squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thursday night, we got College Football Thursday, 10 p.m. on the Tone 25. Game of the week next week, LSU and Alabama. Book it. That's the game of the week for our Week 10 edition of College Football Thursday. And then 1 week from tonight on this program, NFL Friday, and we got perhaps the most exciting week of action we have yet. The bye weeks will return. 4 teams will be on bye. The Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the San Francisco 49ers will all be on bye next week. But in addition to our recap of Tennessee and Pittsburgh, we got the game of the year so far in the AFC. In Germany, the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. Other notable games, we got a lot of notable games. Minnesota Vikings against the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle Seahawks against the Baltimore Ravens. The Los Angeles Rams against and you can maybe consider Rams and Green Bay, maybe. I don't know. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Houston Texans in a sleeper matchup. The Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. Huge NFC East implications in that one. And of course, Sunday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati for the first time since the near tragic moment for Damar Hamlin. You know it's going to be an emotional scene on that night. So, and we'll get into all of that next Friday night, the Week 9 edition of NFL Friday. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Braceway 95, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, of course, always and forever, the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday, and until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching the Week 8 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streaming.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.